Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about the recent match footage that the Multiversus Twitter account uploaded, give my thoughts and concerns, while showing you this clip of me playing in the court stage that I recorded for a Space Jam 2 review that I've been procrastinating on pretty damn heavily. This is what a match looks like as of the open beta. And this is what the match that was recently uploaded to their Twitter looks like. As you can see, there's one massive glaring change: the character sizes. And with larger characters comes seemingly slower gameplay, something that many people have made a point of criticism about in response to the uploaded gameplay. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the criticism of the new game speed and character size is overwhelming, almost entirely encompassing of the response to what they've shown. This criticism is not unwarranted, as I do believe that having such massive characters is going to be a net negative for the game for a myriad of reasons. For one, with characters so large, even if the footage isn't slowed down deliberately, it does have the illusion of being slower, despite the fact that one of the things people liked about Multiversus was its fast-paced gameplay. Additionally, because the ring-out zones, or the blast zones, or the kill zones, or whatever you want to call them, is unchanged, that means that you or other people are going to die sooner, and the matches are going to end quicker, but not in a satisfactory way. There's a difference between you killed that Garnet because you simply outplayed her, and you killed that Garnet because she was at 70% and might as well just walk off the map anyways, with how massive she is and inherently close to the blast zone she is. For someone who wanted more stages in the game, much bigger characters is also going to mean more restrictive stages, less interesting layouts and things that can be done with them. The benefit of a larger character being able to better see your character's skin and being able to better read what moves a character's doing, though I've never had any issue with that myself, is directly contrasted by the significantly greater negative that comes with having a larger character. This is something that I was worried about with the video that Tony posted at the 11th of March, given that it was pretty evident the characters were larger there as well, along with the screenshots that were shown, and unfortunately my concerns were vindicated by seeing a full match in action. And given that the negative reception to this is almost universal, I do sincerely hope that they've posted that video early enough that this criticism overwhelmingly can be said, and that they would have the chance to course correct and make the game better than what they've shown off. While it certainly wasn't the response that Player First Games probably wanted from seeing a full match, I do think it's a response they needed, and hopefully with a month and a half left of development time, they'll be able to fix these glaring problems, and Multiversus can have a successful relaunch. One thing that I haven't seen many people talk about that I think is worth discussing is also how the camera works in the new footage. Compounding the issue of how big the characters are and how slow the gameplay looks is how aggressive the camera comes off as, zooming in extremely close to the action at the expense of seeing everywhere else on the map. If I were to describe it, it's the kind of camera work you'd want to see if you're watching a match of Multiversus, but not the kind of camera work you'd want to see when you're playing a match. To give a real-world example, I'm sure when playing basketball, LeBron James wants to be able to see as much of the court as possible, But somebody watching the match would probably want to be able to focus on the ball, the player who has it, and the players directly contesting him. In fact, a camera like that can have objectively a negative impact on how a match is played. In this short clip here, you can see Garnet do an attack. Then she jumps up again and does another attack which flips a switch. However, what happened as a result of that switch flipping? What might have that changed? The answer is pretty obvious in the older builds. When you flip one of the side switches in Scooby's Haunted Mansion, it causes a platform to rise or fall depending on what state it was in when the switch was flipped. Because a camera is far back enough that it becomes clear that the stage is as important as the fighters, you're able to see that, and thus you're able to strategize and make informed decisions based on that. Do you want to try to rush over to the hole and maybe get a quick kill down there? Or maybe you're Gizmo main who wants to use his car and want to flip that switch back to make the platform go up. The fact of the matter is, because the camera is so up close and personal, it can be extremely easy to miss Garnet flipping that switch, and therefore the floor falling. One could potentially lose a stock, not because they suck at the game or have a skill issue, but because they didn't see the floor fall and therefore weren't able to take it into account during their gameplay. I'd imagine that some of these issues are easier to fix than others. The camera, for example, might just be a matter of adjusting how close it gets to the fighters, even if they are all clumped together. But things like the size and the speed is something that seems a lot more difficult to fix, and nonetheless, I do think that would be worthwhile to put in some effort into trying to find a bit of a better size for everyone and a better speed at which they move in. I'm aware that there is the obvious retort of, well, you haven't played it, so how do you really know how different it is or how much these changes might negatively impact the game? And the answer is, I know I haven't played it. I can only make an assessment based on the information I have available. And the information I have available is a match where it looks like everyone's getting wrung out a little bit too quickly because they're too goddamn big. When the game relaunches, I'm for sure gonna play it again and see how much I like the changes or not. But right now, not having access to the most recent build of the game, I have to be frank and say I am a bit worried about how fun it's going to be versus the open beta due to these changes. And it's not unwarranted. After all, there are other games that were also built from the ground up and were worse because of it.
The pivot point where all the production that came before that basically got dumped into the trash bin.
So forgive me if I sound a little bit too cynical and negative, but I don't exactly have the best relationship with games rebuilt from the ground up. Fix your fucking game, Peklar. But yeah, I do hope that some adjustments could be made to make the characters either less big or the negative impacts of that less apparent, and fix the camera. But is there anything positive I can say about the changes that I've seen of the game? And actually, yes. Literally, as I was making this fucking video, they've posted something on TikTok, and they've shown off some fairly interesting things. For one, it looks like they've added an option to the game to give the characters a dark outline, likely for readability and visual clarity. And given that everyone we've seen with this is in their default skins, I do think it is an option and not a skin itself. Dash attacks are a thing, and evidently every character's going to get one, so I do wonder what Marvin the Martian's dash attack will look like. Pay attention to the sky area near the buildings and mystery machine in this clip. Oh hey, the sky is a hell of a lot lighter in this brief clip, even though we've seen pictures of the court where it's nighttime, so there's going to be a day and night cycle on this stage, similar to how there was in the movie. Or it might be an alternate version of the court with slightly different rules and layouts, similar to Finn's Tree Fort or Scooby's Haunted Mansion. We get an in-game look at the Dexter's Lab stage, and hey, is that platform moving her to the left while she's running in place? You mean to tell me there's a stage with a little bit of goofy, gimmicky bullshit, even though that's not what comp shitters want? A stage with potentially novel, reoccurring elements that might spice up the gameplay a little bit? Holy shit, that's exactly what I asked for in my video about stages in Multiversus. People have pointed out that when Batman tosses his Batarang in the new footage, while the Batarang is on cooldown, he has a different move to use during that time, which is arguably significantly better than...
That's not ready. Can't use that yet. That's not ready. Out of batarangs. Can't use that yet. Still prepping batarangs. Batarangs not ready. Out of batarangs. Can't use that yet.
And given how cooldown heavy Marvin is, I do wonder if they've altered some things, either for moves that do have some, backup kind of version when it's on cooldown, such as his neutral or his up special, but also for moves that don't have a backup when it's on cooldown, such as his side special. As concerned as I am about changes to the character size and how the camera works, there are definitely things that they have shown that do make me genuinely excited for the relaunch and want to play the game sooner than later. And hey, they are at the point where they are showing off more stuff. They have that blog post about how they improved the netcode. There's that TikTok video that I showed clips from earlier. We're going to be seeing a lot more of Multiversus in the coming weeks. So we'll just have to wait and see. I probably won't make a video for literally every single update. I made this primarily to address glaring concerns, but also show off some cool stuff that I've seen. But I'm definitely not going to be like most YouTubers in regards to this game, where they hype up how the game is definitely back every time Tony takes a shit. Tell you what, if there's something major regarding Marvin, I'll make a video on it. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, that gave you something to think about and otherwise entertained you. Take care. Look at that Finn there, just having a little dick nick when that switch is flipped. Fuck you, Finn.